WarioWare and speedrunning have probably been my two biggest interests the past few years. I tend to be interested in a lot of things, but I always find myself coming back to them the most. But what if you combine the two? WarioWare is not typically seen as a game that can be easily speedran. The games mostly come down to menuing, completing long microgames fast, completing boss stages quickly, and other small optimizations. But hiding inside one of the most unique games in the series has, in my last 5 years of speedrunning various games, my favorite speedrunning strat of all time. Released on the GBA in 2004, WarioWare Twisted is the third game in the WarioWare series. It's one of the very few games on the console to use a gyroscope attached to the cartridge of the game. This makes the entire game revolve around rotating the console, and in certain cases using the A button. This, however, has made speedrunning this game a hard task to accomplish because of one thing: video. Handheld consoles are infamously difficult to record, and with the game revolving around twisting it, it's even harder to get a good video of it without a capture card. It's not like you can play on an emulator either like most other handheld games because of the gyroscope. People simply don't want to have to run a game that has this many complications to record. And with WarioWare not really being the biggest speedrunning series out there, it's left Twisted as a game with not that many runs. Despite this, some people over the last 7 years have ran this game anyways. The first to do so was well-known Pokemon speedrunner, Worster, achieving times of 29:15 and 28:36 in October 2016. These runs were okay, but there were some obvious improvements in them. A runner named Pandemonium would beat him a little over 3 months later by 6 seconds, but the video for this is gone now from what it seems. Almost 6 months later in July 2017, Worster came back and achieved a 28:24, a run he said was almost perfect outside of Krygor Boss. But what's extremely important about this run is what he does in Jimmy's Boss. So, what's even going on here? Jimmy's Boss works like this. You're a small character on a staircase, prompted to go to the top. You move further up the staircase by rotating the console clockwise. Some of the stairs are broken, which can be passed by simply not staying on them for too long. There's one step near the top that opens and closes, where you have to pass over it while it's closed. Pass the goal step, and you're finished with the boss. Usually this boss was done by rotating the console quickly to get near the top, waiting for the step to close, then passing over it and finishing the boss. However, you have to wait a couple of seconds just for this step to close. So what if you could go faster? What if you could go so fast, you don't even have to wait for the step to close? What if you could just skip over the step entirely? This was achieved by throwing the console. That's right, by throwing the console fast enough in a clockwise rotation right when the boss starts, you can pretty much instantly finish the boss in under a second. This works because the amount of speed gained from the console throw is so fast that you skip over the opening and closing step entirely. On one frame, you're on a step before it, and on the next frame, you're on a step after it. This saves around 2 seconds over waiting for the step. This is my favorite speedrunning strat of all time because of its pure absurdity. Something about the fact that throwing a console makes your speedrun faster is infinitely funny to me. I have to give insane amounts of credit to Worster for figuring this out 6 years ago. Although it's not the safest strat in the world to perform. In some cases, doing the throw wrong can lead to a game crash, as shown by Worster during an Australian speedruns marathon.
Oh, that's... Crash the game. Got it. Beautiful.
Another runner, Rubik's Cube, said he cracked the top joints on his DS while doing the console throw, so it's important to be careful while doing it. Runners tend to play with something like a blanket on their lap or desk just to be safe from crashes or breaks. But what about the rest of Twisted's history? In June of 2019, a runner named Yamushin would achieve a time of 28:09. This was impressive, as the entire run was performed with a Game Boy player on GameCube, meaning they had to play the entire game by rotating the GameCube and holding a GameCube controller. They didn't do the aforementioned console throw, if it would even work with all the cables involved. However, Worcester found out shortly after that the Japanese version of Twisted has a different type of intro screen, which allowed Yamushin to skip it earlier than Worcester every reset, saving lots of time over the entire run. Because of this, a penalty was put onto Japanese runs to make them equal with runs done on North American copies. This ultimately made Yamushin's run a 28-27, 3 seconds slower than Worcester's run. However, this seemed to have inspired Worcester to play the game again. Only 6 days after Yamushin's run, Worcester would achieve a historic time, a 28:04. It appears from his splits he achieved a 28:21 beforehand, but there's no video of this anywhere that I know of. This run would get a good Cat and Anna boss, get rid of the Krygor boss mistake in the previous world record, and optimize even further in places like WarioWatch. With the limited number of runners in this game, it was unsure if this was ever going to be beaten. It was an extremely good run, only performing 2 seconds off his sum of best. The only time save seemed to be in the Cat and Anna boss from better execution and luck. That was until Bomb Bomb came along. Another runner playing on a GameCube, he started running the game in January 2023, and after occasionally working his time down over the next 4 months, he would achieve a 27:58, the first ever sub 28 minute time. This run was achieved through an even better Cat and Anna boss, saving an extra reset over Worcester and the parents, and playing very well the rest of the game. But wait, isn't there an extra 2 seconds to save in Jimmy's boss? He's playing on a GameCube, there's no way he's gonna throw a GameCube for a speedrun. I don't think I could describe my reaction when I saw this for the first time other than pure shock. I never thought anyone would do the console throw on a GameCube. It seems to have been helped by the use of a wireless Wavebird controller, as it prevents any sort of cable issues that could arise from a normal GameCube controller being plugged in. Regardless, it is absolutely insane to perform. Shortly after this run, he would run WarioWare Twisted at an RTA in Japan event and perform the console throw perfectly first try. This run would end up being 4 seconds off the record, an insane time, still managing to beat Worcester's historic run in front of a live audience. While WarioWare Twisted will probably never be that big of a game in speedrunning for many reasons, it's still one of the most unique games for speedrunning I've seen and done myself. Hiding inside this game is my favorite strat in speedrunning of all time, and I think that's pretty cool. Special thanks to the people who have decided to run this game over the past 7 years, and if you want to speedrun a WarioWare game yourself, try it! Every game has a leaderboard at speedrun.com/WarioWare, so feel free to check out other games or runs on the leaderboards, or even get yourself on one. Thanks for watching.